goal, Quishbilly Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Thank you.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Twitter Spaces. Luton Town 3, Huddersfield Town 3. A tale of young players, this for the Terriers. One of them magnificent in the middle of the park, another struggling at the back, and one who broke in and got his first town goal. So there's myself, Cozzy and Johnny on here. So what we'll do, usual case, we'll have a quick chat about the game, and then what we'll do is we'll move on and then invite you guys to call, or even call or to speak on here, and you can have your say on what's happening. Cozzy will police that as usual. He's muted at the minute, so who knows if he's talking or not. But let's crack into it. So Johnny, you're on there with me as well, aren't you? Let's just make sure we can hear you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go. Fantastic. So I feel absolutely shattered after watching that. I won't lie. I feel like I need to go to bed rather than do this. Interesting game. I think just chat about the system. So, against Reading, horrible game really that we don't need to revisit. But in that he was quite happy with that 3-5-2 shape, wasn't he? And he started the game in that shape. And Town, I think, looked a lot better for it. The balance was there. Individual mistakes, obviously, permitting. But let's talk about the shape itself. 2 up front. He's gone with Rhodes and Ward. A lot of people wanted to see that, and we've got to see it. I thought that the movement was a slight issue up there, but Luton is a tight pitch, isn't it? So they've both done the chances no harm whatsoever. Good shape, and we've come out of that, and it's a good point at the end of the day, Johnny.
Yeah, I think it was better. It's probably more the team I thought he would have gone with really in his first game, but hey ho. Yeah, improvements. I think we've got more players showing for the ball, more players movement, a lot of quick passes. I actually thought at one point we looked like we had a lot more passing in that game than we did against Reading. We actually didn't, surprisingly. It certainly looked like we did, so maybe a bit more meaningful passes. Players didn't look so isolated. I still think a little bit more to come out of midfield would be a little criticism, but certainly better. I think playing Thomas back on the right and giving him that kind of wing-back role. I thought he had one of his best games so far this season. His delivery was exceptional, obviously for the goal, but obviously then there was other great chances where the ball was going into a real dangerous area. Luton did struggle with that quite a bit. They could have put it in the back of net a few times. Rhodes and Ward together, an improvement on, from an attacking sense, but still a little bit immobile, but like you say, it's a bit. Luton are a hard-working team, very dogged team, small pitch, so probably not the best environment for them to as a pair. But yeah, certain room for improvement there. But also, I think some of the players that came off the bench did well. I thought Turton again hasn't had the greatest season, but probably his better game. I know he's only come on for a little bit there, 45 minutes, but I thought he kind of shored things up. He looked
had some balance, didn't he?
Yeah, obviously he didn't have to perform amazingly to improve the lad he replaced, but I'm sure we'll come on to that. Fantastic for Jackson. I thought he had some good moments. The Luton commentator's a little bit harsh on Jackson, but I thought he had some good moments. He's obviously scored the goal. It doesn't matter how it goes in. There's absolutely, but I thought he played well. So yeah, some real positives there. I thought all over the pitch players looked improved. The other main thing I'd say is attitude, desire, running was much better. One of the things we commented on the podcast on the weekend was just that lack of running, that lack of bit of desire you'd expect from a new manager performance. That was more of a new manager performance for me. and to kind of come away with the point and have to work hard in those final 20 minutes to do that. Yeah, we're nowhere near. We've got to improve if we're going to climb up the table, because we are adrift now. We know that, but definitely green shoots of improvement for me. Potentially a bit of a positive hat on. We'll see what people think on this now. But yeah, definitely moving the dial in the right direction a little bit for me.
Yeah, let's bring the bear in. Cozzy Bear, he looks like he's your picture there, Cozzy. Looks like you're with a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, but it's a Spanish cucumber, isn't it?
Mate, he were in. I went to a game on Sunday, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and he was dressed in that, mate. I put his arm around him, he was sweating like mad, and mate, there's worse jobs. Huddersfield Town manager's one of them, but being a cucumber in 82 degrees, he's another. But
I didn't see the
Reading game.
No.
I listened to the podcast on the way back on the plane, so I've got an open mind about it. I've heard, obviously, it were a very downbeat podcast. It sounded like we were really poor, so that's my kind of head went on Luton away. I remember when the team were announced, Matt, I said, good luck, Mbete, because I just thought this were a game that, he's big. He's a big guy, Mbete. There's no doubt about it, but I did really worry about him because you know how Nathan Jones gets his team to play, and unfortunately it went to plan, really. But just positive. I was so pleased that Fotheringham's got something to build on here and that as well, because I think everyone must have been pretty downbeat to be behind at half time. It was a strange game, and again, shades of last season when, for me, the only thing we looked like scoring from was set pieces, which obviously we did to a great extent tonight. So, it's like you say, Matt, you must be shattered. Watch it. Where do you start? Because
let me steer you, mate.
Go on, mate.
It's good to steer you in the on the rail lines. Where I want to sort of start really is, during the presser, the club have been very forthright in pushing Sorba Thomas forward. Mark Fotheringham's also talked excessively, hasn't he, about Sorba Thomas and what he can bring to the club. They've put him in front of the media. They've let them ask the questions. And, he's taken a lot of criticism, but tonight was just an absolutely perfect response. He's played right wing back and he's run his arse off completely. He was outstanding today. That, his set pieces are back on point. We've got 2 goals tonight from set pieces. Ben Jackson's got his first for the club, which was a great moment. I'm not quite sure. I watched it on Sky's Red Button, so I don't have any replays. So I'm not sure if that first one went straight in or whether it took a nick off anybody. But
it took a nick, Matt.
Yeah,
it took a nick off their guy.
It didn't look like physics. The physics behind it didn't quite match for Sorba. But it's an outstanding delivery. He's caused that, and he's caused a lot of mayhem today as Sorba. And I think he's taken a lot of flack. Some of it deserved, some of it not. But today's a great response, isn't it, Cos?
It is, mate, and it's been. I couldn't agree more. I don't want to touch too much when he talks about in the pod, but it makes me sad when we, get on a player's back and that as well. And you could see 1 or 2 instances the first half where kind of just weren't quite still going for Sorba. There 1 or 2 in the away end, waving their hands. Obviously, you don't know what was said. Hopefully, it was encouragement. But yeah, you should never knock anyone who's got a blue and white shirt on, but we do like to do that, don't we? And that as well. But I thought Dwayne Holmes was good as well, Matt. I thought he had a good game. I thought he was causing them danger. He was running into pockets, and their commentator knew that. And kind of, I was, hopefully he's not. It was just a bit of fitness thing at the end, and that as well, because he did seem to be kind of running about with an injury for a little bit, and hope he's going to be right for Sunday. But Ben Jackson, absolutely brilliant. I went to a couple of B team games last season because I worked some weird shifts, and got chatting to Ben Jackson's moments. You were rightly proud of how he was doing. And I went to the B team game the other week at Barnsley, and Ben Jackson was stand out again. And so Conor Mahoney was as well. So it's quite interesting to see them both kind of in the team. And really proud. He kind of obviously didn't know much about it, but a lovely moment in front of the away, and I think he couldn't believe it really, because he didn't really even celebrate with the fans. He were kind of wandering around like in a dizzy stupor, one of those where sometimes when I think you used to play it as a kid, where a pin used to blindfold you and then spin you around for 10 minutes and then take it off. Yeah, it was just strange, but yeah, honestly, at 3-2 at half time, I think everyone's feeling the worst. I think 4-5-2 that Luton got to be so confident because they probably couldn't believe the luck being in front and stuff. But I thought we handled them quite well second half. I didn't think they showed much, to be honest with you, and that as well. And there was a ball in the second half. You might know it, Matt, although you didn't have any replays. Like with Dwayne Holmes, it was unbelievable. It was an absolute peach of a ball across the 6-yard box. It just needed someone to gamble, Ward or Rhodes. They weren't doing it. And we were creating 1 or 2 things, but Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Adrian. It's a good job it's not a Sunday pod because, we'll leave it up to, the guys on here to have their say in a minute. But yeah, I'm chuffed for Fotheringham because I just felt he needed something tonight going in. I think everyone's got the guns ready to blow him up at half time. But, he got that second half. They give it, you probably didn't see it, the red button map. They give Dwayne Holmes an unbelievable look. He probably crushed him. I think he was really proud of his efforts. But the team worked hard. There's lots of problems. There's lots of positives, but I think hopefully people come away from that and Sunday, hopefully get a good crowd in there. It's live on Sky. Let's get it rocking and let's get a win because, something to build on for me. That's my takeaway from tonight, definitely.
Can you imagine there was a love it wee man when Holmes off there?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think one player that I really want to speak about, and I'm so excited by this player, is Etienne Camara. I think he's absolutely outstanding for his age. How cool he is in and around the penalty box. It's one of these things in the defensive box as well. I'm talking about here. The ball falls to him. The second ball falls to him, and in his first touch pass into midfield to find a man. 19 years old, this guy is, and he's he's so calm under pressure. Luton's a pressurized place. The pitch is small. They've got two up front, two big lads in Adebayo and Carlton Morrison. They're good strikers as well. They're bearing down on you. And he's, second start, and he's just playing little 5-6 yard balls, into feet, on the edge of his own box. With, he is so talented. And Huddersfield Town really, really need to get him tied down to a contract because he's out of contract at the end of the season.
Yeah,
we could potentially lose him for nothing after stumbling upon, what could be one of the best players to come out of our academy. Including Lewis O'Brien and Philip Billing. He's potentially that good. We really need to make sure we tie him down, mate.
Brilliant, Matt. I totally agree. And I think in a struggling team, when he's got the confidence to do what he's doing, I think all power to his elbow. And as for Fotheringham, he's been very vocal about working with young players and stuff and that. And that's got to be encouragement, for Ben Jackson, and other players as well. Conor Murray's obviously been around a bit, but he's still a very young player and that as well. And I've seen what his set pieces could have scored at corner when I have done that all the time, and in B team and stuff. But he's another one. And again, it's not exactly breaking news because last season we did it for fun. But again, he was very vocal in his press conference about we'll score loads. He's very confident in Fotheringham, but we'll score loads of goals from set pieces, mark my words. And as if by magic it happened again and that as well. But I suppose we're going to have to talk about some of the negative stuff, Matt. Do you want to lead that?
I wanted to start you off with a round of who needs Toffolo when we've got Jacko. But, let's talk about Ben Jackson before we talk about Mbete. I've put a tweet out about Mbete and I actually feel really guilty about it now because it's not particularly very nice. So I apologise if he happens to read that because it's not the nicest. But Cozzy, talk to us about Ben Jackson. You touched upon it with his mum. I actually know the guy who brought Ben Jackson to Huddersfield as well, and he'll be delighted as well about him coming through. But he's had to wait patiently. He's signed a new contract. I don't think you presume he won't be on massive wages. Sat there, he's been champing at the bit. That's champing, Cozzy, not chomping. He's been champing at the bit for a long, long time, and. He's, is he 20, 21, 22 now? And he's waited. He's been out to Doncaster. He's been out to Bolton. He's been to Stockport. And he's done his apprenticeship. And, he had a chance, came on against Reading. And he did that absolutely superb. You obviously didn't see it, but he did that absolutely superb piece of control in the second half, which people will remember. And he's taken his chance today. He's by no means is he the perfect fullback yet. But for a debut, I'm going to say, first proper debut this season. He's obviously made a debut before, but for a debut this season in his start, I should say, in his preferred position, on the left, I thought he did really well. I don't think you could ask for any more of that, Cos. And
totally
John,
agree, mate.
As well.
I must admit, gas. I mean, that's great faith in Fotheringham because I just think, where would you not want to kind of make you? I don't know, he kind of had his debut, last season, but Luton Town away is not exactly the place with how they're up on Matham style and a very tight pitch and that as well. But he didn't look unnerved whatsoever, did he, through the night?
Excellent, yeah.
And obviously, we'll come on to him better later, but they just looked up. Jackson looked like he played like 100 games, and then Mbete looked like he'd played hardly any. And he looked really, really good, determined. You can't beat an homegrown guy, can you? And that as well. And that's another one that's going to be added to our squad now. Is that Fotheringham ain't going to mess about with reputations or who played last season and who. who's done it before. It's a clean slate for everyone. So, yeah, he must have been buzzing, and his family and everyone, for him to get the call. And what a beautiful moment, because when it came across and that as well, I don't know what angle you had with Sky, Matt, because there were good cameras on there. I follow with Luton as well, but I knew it with him.
Mate. Single feed.
I just thought, how's he got it in? Has it come off his chest? It kind of come from his knee, didn't it? Then it just,
idea.
Just a great moment. And I think it was Ollie Turner went running, jumping on him and that as well, and everyone rushed towards him. But yeah, absolutely, he'll be buzzing coming back home on the bus. And yeah, that's what I mean. We've got positivity that we get. We need to kind of cling on to it and that as well. And let's hope we see with a home start against Hull City on Sunday dinner time, eh?
I think it's massive credit, like you said, it's massive credit to Frothingham to back. It's one of the things he made a massive thing of saying in his interview, that he likes to work with young players, he will back young players because they have no fear. And I think that's two things we can see from Jackson and Camara, is that they don't have that fear, and they back themselves. They've got the composure. They've not had relegations on the CV. They've not felt it. Maybe it's just maturity, but beyond their years, or a little bit of like blissful ignorance in a positive way. But I think he had a fantastic performance. I love the fact he made an absolutely incredible tackle, which the Luton commentators were shouting for a penalty. Absolutely not. Won all the ball, and then 2 minutes later, he's putting the ball in the back of net at the end of the field. So great performance. But yeah, it's great for them for backing him as well. And obviously, players at that age with a manager who will trust you, it's only going to hopefully kind of bring more at them as we go out through the season.
Yes. So I think at this point, we'll start to invite other people to, if you want to have a chat, you can send your requests in now, and then Cozzy will micromanage that in the best way that he does. What I will say is I think a few people have tried to request speaking before whilst using a laptop and tablet and things, and the request doesn't always come through. If in doubt, use your phone. It will always ping through. So we've got Mbeti for Ballon d'Or as requested. I can't say anything.
We've got Dave Murphy and Mbeti. Must be some player, this guy. Defender.
Hi, mate.
Big Murphy, yeah. How are you doing, mate? Get ripped in. I'm saying nothing. Go
obviously, he's had a bit of a stinker tonight, hasn't he? I was thinking, like, forward thinking for Sunday. Obviously, we've got a point today. Unfortunately, now Kasumu's suspended, and it doesn't look like Mbeti is going to play. I just want to ask you guys, what do you think his starting 11 will be for Hull at home? Because they've been in free fall, sat the manager, and there's a good opportunity for us to get 3 points there. I just want to know your thoughts on what you think he might do with the starting 11, really.
You know what?
I'd probably keep it the same and maybe look to bring Hoggin maybe to cover that gap.
Yeah. I'd put Nakayama in, I think, at left centre back for a start. And then
where were he tonight, Matt?
They said he'd rested him due to a lot of travelling on international duty, and they said he looked tired, and they hadn't spent a lot of time on the training ground. So hopefully they'll spend a little bit of training time with him this week, bring him up to speed, and I would play him at left centre back. I think he would probably add a good balance. And if he's not fit enough to play, then Ollie Turton did a fine job, didn't he? And Mbete needs taking out the firing line, doesn't he? That's 4 huge errors in barely 60 minutes of football. So
yeah, I just want to go on record there. Like I said, keep it the same. That's obviously
yeah, I knew what you meant.
That's a given. Just in case anyone got the wrong idea.
Do you think he will play again?
Young players, aren't they? Though
I know, but I think he gave that penalty away. I can't remember we played at home when he hacked somebody down, and then obviously gave the ball away against Reading, and then his 3 massive errors tonight, and God help us, but we need Matty Pearce quickly.
I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised if he plays on Sunday. But with young players, they're up and down, aren't they? So we'll probably need him, I guess, at some point, and hopefully he's improved a bit by then.
The thing is, David Archick told us on a podcast, is if you think you're getting Levi Colwell again, then think again. I remember him saying it really fiercely. Yeah, with obviously, or it might have been Stephen. I think with David, but. Yeah, because obviously they spoke to people at Manchester City, so don't expect anything like Levi Colwell at this. He's very raw and stuff, and he is exactly that. I think what was frustrating for me tonight, and Healy as well, to be honest with you, is that they're big guys as well. They're big guys. So, yeah, we're maybe not expecting kind of, beautiful Rio Ferdinand Beckenbauer on the ball, but, use your physicality, and they just got absolutely bullied by Adi Bale. It was embarrassing, wasn't it? And it was just getting to a stage where if I were Luton and their goals, I would just like just smash it up to this Adi Bale because he's just causing havoc, and that was a so frustrating thing because I'm thinking I wouldn't mind if we had like small centre backs and stuff. Remember, Tom Lees is not as big as them two, but these are big guys giving it back, man. But they were just not doing it, and he was just doing what he wanted. And second half to a lesser extent, but yeah, frustrating with that.
We do miss Pearson for that though. He's been a big miss because he's an absolute rocket in the middle of the back three. Like, last season, mate, he'd had to break that bloke. And he is.
What do you think of Hildred? You don't want to judge early on, but I'm not. Everyone raving about him, this, that, and the other. But the only thing you'd say is that he's not playing with any decent partner. I always think a good centre-back partner should, feed off each other. So he's got to wonder what's going on, especially tonight when he's playing with a, raw kid. But you know what? I don't see the qualities that at the moment that obviously he must have.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, you look last year, the back three that they had, it was just so settled. It was Lees on the right-hand side, Pearson in the middle, and then Pearson on the right, Lees in the middle, and then Coleman in the left. And we've been chopping and changing, so they need to get a run together where, I think he's got this, if he's playing three at the back, where you have the same three guys playing all the time, and then, they feed off each other then. So one might go in and, go up and win the ball, and then one drops off into the space, etc. In terms of Hildred, I thought when we played, at home, last home game when we won at home, I thought it was pretty solid. He headed everything, but apart from that, he's been a bit calamitous, I think, really.
Yeah, it was a little bit twinkle toe, a little bit Fred Flintstone on the line, wasn't he, when he on that first goal?
What yabba dabba do, what it, man?
Yeah, yabba dabba down. I do like him. I do like him.
So he steps out for the third goal as well, which is a bit of. I mean, the third goal is probably more his fault than anyone else, but he steps out for that third goal as well, which is a little bit, inexperienced, not quite where he should be. But I think flip it around, give him a bit of positive. I thought he did okay on the ball today. I thought he brought it out a little bit. He did pick some passes out. He did find some good kind of central passes as well into feet. Obviously, first and foremost, you need defenders to defend. But I think there's a little bit of that game which I don't think we've necessarily seen too much of this season. But I thought that was a bit of positive for Hildred today. But yeah, I think, like I say, a bit of consistency, a bit of settled back three, back four will help. But absolutely echo what you're saying in regards to Mike Pearson. Let's put all the money we've got in the club in to get him in all the expert treatments possible, and hopefully it's back as soon as can be.
I think what's good, Cos, I'll throw at you. I think the last couple of games since Mark Fotheringham come in, I think we've seen an improvement. And maybe since Chicho as well, the last 3 games, I think we've started to see Tom Lees coming back a bit more to what we saw last season as well, which is good to see. I think Tom Lees has been quietly solid the last sort of. I know we've conceded 3 today, but I wouldn't put any at sort of Tom Lees' door. I think he's starting to get back to some form as well, which is a relief because he's a huge player for us.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we kind of talk about him on football, I just want to mention because I'll forget it, but what a class touch on it from Luton about Eleanor Haig as well. What a nice touch for that, wasn't it? Just put them flowers there and a little message in that as well, and a big, thing in the programme tonight. I just think sometimes in football, the classy stuff just kind of doesn't happen in that as well. But for that to happen and like our guys to go down there and, for them to remember her and that as well, for what she did for them and that as well. I just thought that was just such a class touch in a game when I sometimes think that class kind of is not shown. So Luton Town, respect, man.
Yeah, Luton Town are definitely one of the good guys, aren't they, when it comes to football? They're one of the more classier football clubs for sure. It's a club. I don't like many football clubs, I'll be honest. I just find everyone to be a complete bell end sometimes. But Luton Town are one of the ones that I actually have a lot of time for. They're a decent club of Luton.
Matt, what do you think of Rhodes and Ward playing together? How do you feel that's kind of going? Or do you think we'll see a lot of that too, them two playing with each other?
Steady. I don't think they suit each other, to be honest, cause Jordan does what Jordan does. He finds space in the box. His hold-up play in his sort of latter career has improved a lot, Jordan Rhodes. Back to goal, he's actually quite useful now. His layoffs are good. He plays it out wide quite well. I'm not sure him and Ward work together hugely. I still think you need maybe someone with a bit of sharpness who runs the channels, and maybe we'll see that with Tyrese Simpson when he comes back from his injury. He's obviously got the patella issue, hasn't he, in his knee. So maybe we'll see a little bit of difference there. And Kieran Phillips is doing quite well at Morecambe at the minute as well. So there are different options. I know Phillips is out for the on loan for the season, but going forward there are certain things that we can do if they choose to. And they obviously took Rhodes off and put Mahoney on, didn't they? And Mahoney played as a more sort of withdrawn player who sort of floated around. And for anyone who's played Football Manager, it's very sort of trequartista, isn't it? But, and he was quietly effective at dropping into little pockets of space. Wasn't always amazing when he got it, but, the spaces he took up were quite intelligent, Mahoney, and I don't think he did too badly. Whilst we warble on, we're still inviting people to speak if they want to speak.
Yeah.
I just throw that one in because we've just had one brave caller so far.
You would. It's really tough. I mean, you wouldn't expect him to know he's only been here a week to know his best 11. But me as a supporter, you Matt, we've got all these. It just reminds me of like my dad's jigsaw at home. We've got all these pieces scattered about, and how do you kind of put it together? And obviously, that's going to be his job. But someone on another group I were at was saying they think there's a good team there, but it's just how can you get the pieces put together? It's going to be interesting. The worst thing is we haven't got the time, kind of to do that. I just feel we've got to, by the time we leave for this 1 month break in the World Cup, I just hope that we're not kind of cut drift, or maybe we're right in there or out of it or something like that as well. It's such frustrating, isn't it, that it's just not had this pre-season. It is what it is. We kind of wasted it with Schofield and what have you. He's playing catch up. I just hope it don't kind of cost us at the end of the season.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because he's made a lot of talk, hasn't he, Mark Fotheringham, about time on the pitch or time on the training ground, hasn't he? And he doesn't have a lot of time leading up to the World Cup. Everything's really sort of Saturday, Tuesday, isn't it? It's pretty mad. And that obviously means that's less time for him to work on specifics, and it's more sort of game prep, if you like. But if we can stay in touch or stay in a decent position right up until the World Cup break, and I think that's where Mark Fotheringham's got to sort of earn his money and his reputation, if you like, over the 4 weeks. We will lose potentially Helik, Nakayama, Sorba, Thomas to the World Cup, which is still great that Huddersfield Town get players go to the World Cup.
Will Boyle maybe.
Who knows? But
Camara as well for France.
Camara could play for anyone, couldn't he, in that World Cup? But yeah, that's essentially where Mark Fotheringham's got to get his stamp on everything, isn't it? For now, it feels like it's a case of putting a plaster over things, and getting to a stage at the end of this run. And it's a good run. There's teams there that we can lose against, but beat as well. So if we can sort of stay in a semi-decent position, I know bottom of the league is not a decent position, but if we can stay decently in touch throughout this period, then that sort of 3-4 weeks is really key for Mark Fotheringham, causes that, and that's where he's got to earn it.
I've not really had a chance to say anything about him because I've not been on since it's been appointed. But honestly, it's been so refreshing for me. I know talk's cheap, etc., but it's the first time for a long time. This is a guy I want to listen to pre and post match and stuff and that as well. I do like his kind of views, his honesty of that as well. I really feel that if he can, obviously big ifs, but if we can get on a run and start winning games and do it with some kind of younger players like Ben Jackson, Camara, this could be a nice little kind of train that we have kind of together and that as well. I think the problem is he's just obviously coming 9-10 games in, so he's going to have to kind of learn on the job really and that as well. And like I say, he's probably found a lot about him better tonight, where a lot of fans will probably be saying, well, we've seen, like you mentioned there, the mistakes he's made already, but obviously he won't have known that. And then so learned about him, we've seen him, to give Johnny Russell kind of another chance again as well. And obviously Saturday it sounded like he were off the pace again. So he is going to learn. But I think anyone there who's like playing well, Matt, in the B team or, putting it in, I think they'll get a chance under this guy and that as well. I just hope that the crowd, I think the crowd was, when it was appointed, obviously there's quite a lot, the hell's this guy and stuff, it's a cheap option. But I really do think that his press conference are kind of winning the team that people over, and Saturday sounded obviously a bad day, but just getting a point here tonight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Sunday. I really am looking forward to Sunday's game and getting in there, giving me all, from my voice, singing and stuff. And I think the team will give it back on that as well. It's just, we just need that quality. We can't keep conceding 3 goals every other game and expecting to climb the table. But there's something there, mate. It's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah. Thanks, Murph. Big Murph. I don't know what your real name is. Let's have a click on his profile.
No drama, mate.
Will, there you go. It is on your profile. Cheers, Will. Thanks for getting involved. Good to hear from you as always, mate. Right. So, who needs? I've done that joke already, haven't I? But we've got Stato on. So, Stato, Ben, how are you doing, buddy? Get ripped in.
I'm good, thanks. Bet we got a point out of the game. First point I went on the road this season, which I think was quite important. I think it's a performance that we can see where the team is going. I mean, the 3 goals conceded aren't great, but at the same time, we haven't really seen this season as score 3 and look like we can score goals. Shame for Kasumu to get sent off at the end. I think he will be a big miss against Hull on Sunday. But yeah, I'm just really impressed with Camara and Jackson. I think maybe playing Camara, Jackson and Betty on that left-hand side, maybe a little bit of an experience there. But for me, the worry is now who we play at left centre-back, because I'm not a big fan of Boyle. Maybe you move Hillick over, Lees into centre-back and then bring in Hurton, but...
Play Nakayama?
Oh yeah, Nakayama. Yeah, forgot Nakayama.
There you go.
But he was 19th man today. I think he chose not to play him. Out of tactics, which was quite strange to me. But it's interesting to see the group of players that he's using compared to Schofield. There's quite a big difference, I think. Obviously Mahoney's not featured at all in the Schofield and come straight in under Fotheringham.
Well, Matt Fotheringham has made a big sort of point, hasn't he, about getting attacking players on the pitch, Ben? And, Conor Mahoney is that. We've seen he's not particularly a defensive player, and we could perhaps see that towards the end in the movement, which led to David Kasumu being sent off, because that was sort of Mahoney's attempted clearance, which kind of left us in a bit of a pickle, didn't it? And Kasumu had to really take the hit for the team, didn't he? I've got no qualms with what David Kasumu did. It's a huge shame that he misses Sunday, because Sunday's a huge game. But, Kasumu does what Kasumu does. But, in terms of attacking talent, are you quite excited about potentially, seeing more of Pat Jones when he's back from injury and some of the other players as well? Because you do obviously keep an eye on the younger team, the B team, don't you? And the likes of Brahima Diarra, I'm sure, must be looking at this now and thinking there's a good chance for me here.
Yeah, I think Diarra and Rose sort of fallen out of favour this season. But yeah, I've been banging on the drum for quite a while for Jackson to get a chance. I thought he played really well in pre-season. He's an attacking fullback. It's what we really need. I think he's very two-footed as well. See Ruffles this season, he's just not. He's been very left-footed, but with Jackson, you feel like he's comfortable on either.
There's a goal at Tranmere, wasn't there? The goal where he cut in. That was an outstanding strike, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think Pat Jones is one that we need to just be careful about, because I think he is quite injury prone, and just ease him into the first team, because I think he's obviously picked up an injury already. But he's very exciting, I think. Getting running at defenders. Yeah,
he's a lot of young players get that, don't they? Sort of still growing into the body, don't they? And hamstrings seem to be the particular thing that is there. No, it's not an Achilles heel, but hamstrings seem to be the Achilles heel, don't they? For a lot of young players growing into the shape. I think Brahima Diarra's been injured a little bit as well. He had the injury, didn't he, at Harrogate at the end of last season? I'm just going from memory, and I think he might have had an operation over the summer, which is probably why he's not gone out on loan, I would suspect. But I'm only guessing at that. But so he's pretty much coming back today, and I think he got the winner for the B team who beat Watford in the Premier League. I think it's the Premier League Cup, is it? You're the expert here, Stato, on the youth team. So so Brahim is coming back. So maybe things, at 3-2. What impressed me as well was at 3-2, how the team didn't fold. Luton's such a difficult place to go to, and they definitely add pressure. That they're a team that play a lot of long diagonals. They've got big, strong centre forwards in Adebayo and Carlton Morris who will bash you if you like. And the team didn't fold, and I think that's a real sort of feather in the cap of this team moving forward as well. That they've not allowed themselves to be bullied out of the game, and they've given a lot back. And you could hear in the commentary on Sky in the background that the Luton fans were particularly rattled about some of the antics from Mr. Nichols, doing his usual. And do you know what? Lee Nichols today managed to waste 4 minutes of time from the 13th minute to the 17th minute. I've never seen anything like it in my life. And I could see that'll drive other fans absolutely mad.
Yeah. pathetic from Nichols today, if I can't lie. Like, there's absolutely no need to do that. I think Luton at the time, and they're basically saying like, well, I think I agree with what they're saying. Actually, it sort of took the momentum out of the game for us. I thought up until that
Yeah,
point,
it didn't help us at all. That I agree, mate. I thought it was crap. Do that at the end, not then. I agree with mate.
So I thought, yeah, probably a bit poor from Nichols, but apart from that, I thought it was a pretty decent performance. I mean, just take away those individual errors, and we're running away 3-0
there. I tell you what, let's bring in the K maker as well, Andy K. So all the way from Penistone, we've got Andy. Are you all right,
I'll
mate?
be there on Saturday, Andy. Penistone FM, mate. I'm on Penistone FM 9 till 10, mate. So
I'll listen in.
That's one listener. Thank God for that.
I watched it tonight. Really enjoyed it. I think they showed a bit of spirit, showed a bit of character. Nice to see my boy back doing what he's good at. Some good crosses.
Who's he sponsored by?
AKLD Traders. I think you'll find you need to get his name right when you're talking about him.
That's why he showed up, isn't it? That's why he showed up tonight. A bit of sponsorship. There.
Must have had a couple of talks, a couple of.
I've had a word. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I think that the away fans deserve a bit of a shout out tonight because I was going to listen to it on the red button, but you could hear them, and they're only the 9,000 Luton fans, so it didn't take much out singing, but I think they did a good job tonight. I agree with what has just been said about the spirit, and leave Nichols alone as well. The lad's doing what he's best at. So yeah, might have disrupted the rhythm a bit, but that's part of it, and it's part of his game. But I quite enjoyed it. We showed some spirit, which we didn't show against Reading, I thought. So onwards and upwards. It was the first point away from home in it, so I'm happy with that. Can't go on Sunday, I don't think, so I won't get to see them. But Camara, my word. I mean, I'm a bit like Cozzy. I'd seen him with me and my lad go and watch the B team a few times, and absolute standout in the B team for a couple of seasons. And he's just an absolute Rolls Royce of a player, that lad, isn't he? So we've got to get him signed up on a big contract because other teams will be seeing that. At 19, like you said, being able to do that. Outstanding, but I think much happier to be a Town fan tonight. A good point, difficult place to go. So yeah, I'm much happier than I was.
Andy, what have you made of Matt Fotheringham just coming in and what he said and forgetting the game on Saturday? How's it kind of landed with you?
I don't really know. I think he impressed me. I'd never heard of him, obviously. He impressed me more with his team talk and his passion, but the jury's out on him. I just can't get over how much he looks like Buzz Lightyear. So it distracts me when I look at him most of the time. In terms of what he does, I'm not a tactician. I don't know about that type of stuff, but I like the energy. You could hear Nathan Jones and Fotheringham on the touchline. They were both putting lots of energy into the teams on the Sky Red Button stuff tonight. And I like that. And I think that's the bit that maybe we were missing. He's talking about having to put some training into him and some knowledge into him, which concerns me, given that, Schofield was supposed to be a continuation of Cobra, and you would think that would already be there, and the attitude would already be there. So something not right behind the scenes under the Schofield reign. But if he's the guy that can put some energy into him and get him to show a bit of heart like they seem to do tonight, then, I think, fingers crossed, we should be all right. I've just looked at the table. We're only 2 or 3 wins away from getting out of it. We're not cut adrift at this stage, and it's very early in the season. But the jury's out for me on Fotheringham because I'd never heard of him, so I'm going to give the guy a chance. But I would have preferred. My heart wanted Wagner back, my head didn't. So I think he's probably a better choice for the club than Wagner might have been. So yeah, we'll see. The jury's out on him. I'm happy to be convinced.
Right, let's just throw in if anyone else wants to jump in and have their say as well. Because if you don't, we'll probably wrap up a little bit quicker. Otherwise, Cozzy will start desperately slinging out invites to speak, and who knows who'll end up there.
That was last game, Matt.
and then you forgot to record it.
I want to get Mick Wadsworth on it. We're that desperate, mate.
Oh, Mick Wadsworth. I saw him, a couple of years ago when we were doing the whole scouting thing, and he was at Sheffield United, and he's got such a dull voice that I almost fell asleep at the side of the pitch watching the game. He was so boring, the guy. I'm not surprised we almost sort of played like the door had lobotomies in that season. That's for us oldies anyway. Now it's 20 years ago now, that season, cause it's a long time ago.
Just going back to what Andy said there, just to follow on for it, I think he makes a good point that he does. I think he's come in at a bit of a difficult time. Reading away, Luton away, just the geography around it. When Luton played, all that kind of side of things, a little like 24 hours extra rest. It's probably quite a tough start. He does now have a window of opportunity, but it's quite critical for Town these next 3 games, I'd say. But they do present opportunities for him to get points, a good home game against a team in free form. Rotherham, I mean, they've had their kind of heart ripped out of the club. Preston can't score full of the money. So it will be interesting where we sit as we get towards the end of October. And hopefully, like Andy says, we can get a couple of wins and move out. But I do think now he's kind of, he'd love to say about his little apprenticeship, doesn't he? He's kind of almost done his apprenticeship at Huddersfield with these games. Difficult, got a point out of it. Probably not too bad on paper if you kind of chalk them up when he came into the club. But now, Hull, Rotherham, Preston, and Middlesbrough equally good squad, but also with troubles there. So there's an opportunity for him to kind of maybe get a couple of wins, maybe 3 wins, but certainly get some points on board. And as we kind of move into November, be significantly higher at the table. So I think you do make a good point there, Andy, with regards to moving forward and where we might be there after the next few games.
Cheers, Johnny. One thing I've just remembered, actually, if there's anybody on here that's doing the walk on Saturday, just want to wish you all good luck. I did it last year, but I'm not doing it this year. So if anybody on here is doing it, all the best to you. Hope you have a good round of applause when you rock up for your deserved walk around the pitch on Sunday as well.
More power to anyone doing that. 100%. Right, if no one else wants to speak, we will start to wrap things up. If anybody wants to come on and speak about Etienne, Camara, maybe Dwayne Holmes with his passing accuracy of 87.5%. Anything that tickles your fancy. The manager, who you would have liked to have seen, who knows? Anything that you want to speak about, I will give you a couple of minutes. In the meantime, what I will say is I'll say thanks to Magic Rock for continuing to sponsor the podcast as well. If anyone fancies going online and purchasing anything there, you'll get 10% off if you use our code of AHTTC10.
I hope it's opening early on Sunday, Matt. I need some breakfast, some fruit juice to go with my toast, man.
Yeah. There must probably be a food truck as well there if you but I obviously don't have that to hand at the minute. But yeah, so if nobody wants to join in, that's cool, and we'll move on and end it. But we've got the preview show coming up. I'm sure Brady and Tom will be putting something together, so keep an eye out for the preview show for the whole game coming up over the next couple of days as well. And then we'll probably be back on Sunday night with myself, Cozzy and Co as well. We'll look back on the whole game and hopefully we'll have something positive to bring back as well from there. So I've waffled on long enough. I've been trying to buy time with all that, Cozzy, and we've not had anyone requested to speak, so that is fine.
Everyone's happy, mate. We've got a point.
I think so. I think that's it, isn't it?
We are unbeatable.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good time.
Let's get them codheads smashed Sunday dinner time. Come on, fish and chips, man.
Andy, are you sure you don't want to sponsor him not to sing anymore?
Not again, mate. He's never kept that bargain, has he? I can't remember how much it cost him.
You can't stop him. You can't stop Cozzy Ryoke. It's just one thing you can't stop. It's a relentless train. Right, guys. Thanks everyone for listening tonight. I'll pop this up on our usual place. Thanks to everyone for listening, speaking, and we'll be back on Sunday. And Brady and Cole will be back in a couple of days as well. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.